Welcome back, friends. Today we're pulling apart Security Services Matrix, GuardDuty, Inspector, Macie, Detective, Security Hub piece by piece, and rebuilding it so it actually sticks. 3 a.m, a billing alert fires, GPU instances are spinning up in a region nobody on the team has ever used. The engineer opens the console and stares at 5 Amazon Web Services security services that all sound like they could help. By the end of this video, you'll know which one already has the answer, and how to spot it from a single keyword in the question stem. Here's the thing about that 3 a.m. alert: the account wasn't wide open. IAM policies were in place, organizations was enforcing service control policies, controls were doing their job. But controls only decide what's allowed. They don't tell you when a credential leaks, when an instance is talking to a mining pool, or when an S3 bucket suddenly has social security numbers in it. That's the gap. IAM and organizations gave us the guardrails. These 5 services tell us when something has slipped through them. You've already met these 5 by their jobs: the detective, the inspector, the data classifier, the investigator, and the aggregator. Let's pin the formal names to those roles. Amazon GuardDuty is the detective reading the logs. Amazon Inspector is the vulnerability scanner. Amazon Macie is the sensitive data classifier inside S3. Amazon Detective is the investigator who builds the timeline. And Amazon Web Services Security Hub is the aggregator pulling the other findings together. These are the labels we'll use for the rest of the video. Back to our engineer at 3 a.m. They open the security, identity, and compliance category and see 5 services. Picking inspector means scanning EC2 images for unpatched CVS. Useful next week, useless right now, because the threat is already running. Only one of the 5 was already watching the CloudTrail call that spun up those instances, and the DNS query reaching out to a mining pool. That's the one we want. Picking detective is closer, but detective investigates findings, it doesn't generate the alarm. Picking Macie means scanning S3 for sensitive data, but no bucket is involved here. This is compute abuse. Here's the wrong first instinct most people have on a scenario like this. The engineer thinks, something's wrong with the instance, so I should scan the instance. That's inspector. It sounds reasonable, and it's wrong. Inspector scans for vulnerabilities that exist before an attack, unpatched packages, exposed ports, missing fixes. It doesn't watch what an instance is doing right now. By the time the GPU is mining and reaching out to a pool, Inspector has nothing useful to add. The cue here isn't something is wrong with the instance, it's something is wrong in the logs, the API call to launch it, the DNS query it's making. That cue points somewhere else entirely. Here's the mental model that unlocks the whole topic. Each of these 5 services owns exactly one verb. GuardDuty detects, Inspector scans, Macie classifies, Detective investigates, Security Hub aggregates. If you can match the verb in the question stem to the verb that owns the service, you've already answered the question. Everything else in this video is just filling in the details behind those 5 verbs. Think of these 5 as a security operations team for a building. GuardDuty is the smoke alarm on the ceiling. It goes off when something looks wrong, but it doesn't put out fires. Inspector is the building inspector who walks the halls before anyone breaks in, checking for unlocked doors and frayed wiring. Macie is the records clerk who knows exactly which filing cabinets hold social security numbers and credit card details. Detective is the arson investigator who shows up after the alarm, pulls the camera footage, and reconstructs how the fire started. And Security Hub is the fire chief's wall of monitors, where every alarm and every report lands in one place. Let's start with GuardDuty, the threat detector. It continuously analyzes 3 foundational log sources in the background, looking for things that don't look right. It uses a combination of machine learning, anomaly detection, and curated threat intelligence feeds from Amazon Web Services and partners. What it surfaces is concrete: compromised cryptomining activity, unusual API calls, and traffic to known malicious IPs. And one nice detail, feeding those foundational sources in costs nothing extra. You only pay for the volume GuardDuty actually processes. Memorize these 3 sources, because they're the highest value heuristic for any GuardDuty question. CloudTrail management events tell GuardDuty who's calling which Amazon Web Services AP is. VPC Flow Logs tell it what network traffic is moving through your subnets, and Route 53 DNS query logs tell it which domains your instances are looking up, which is how it catches a server quietly calling a cryptomining pool. 3 sources, 1 engine, 1 stream of findings out the other side. The official Amazon Web Services GuardDuty documentation puts it this way. It calls GuardDuty a continuous security monitoring service that analyzes VPC Flow Logs, CloudTrail management event logs, and DNS query logs. Now notice what's not in that definition. No CVS, no PII, no root cause analysis. The boundary is right there in the source list. GuardDuty's job is to detect from logs, and that's it. Here's the caveat that catches people. GuardDuty is a closed-circuit camera, not a door lock. It films the intruder. It does not stop the intruder. GuardDuty operates out of band on log streams, which means it produces findings, but it does not sit in line to block traffic or revoke credentials. If a question asks which service blocks, prevents, or stops an attack, GuardDuty is the wrong answer. For actual prevention, you pair it with Event Bridge and Lambda, or you use the Real Prevention Services, Security Groups, WAF, or Amazon Web Services Network Firewall. Here's roughly what GuardDuty findings look like in the console. Up top, an unauthorized access finding. A developer's IAM user keys are being called from a known anonymizer exit node. Below that, the smoking gun for our cold open scenario, a cryptocurrency finding on a GPU instance making DNS queries to a mining pool. And at the bottom, a port probe reconnaissance finding showing 47 distinct IPs scanning an instance in 6 minutes. Notice each one names the principal, the instance, or the specific behavior. That's the level of detail GuardDuty surfaces, concrete, actionable, and tied back to the log source it came from. Next service, Inspector. Inspector is the vulnerability scanner. It continually looks for 2 distinct problems, known software vulnerabilities, the CVS, and unintended network exposure. It has exactly 3 targets you need to memorize: EC2 instances, container images in ECR, and Lambda functions. And here's the nice part of the modern inspector: there's no schedule to manage. When a brand new CVE is published, Inspector automatically rescans every workload that could be affected. Its risk score is contextualized too, which means a critical CVE on an internet-facing host ranks higher than the same CVE on a host nothing can reach. The Amazon Web Services Inspector documentation captures both axes in one sentence. It says Inspector is a vulnerability management service that continually scans your Amazon Web Services workloads for software vulnerabilities and unintended network exposure. 2 things: software bugs and network exposure. Both are about the infrastructure being breakable. Neither is about the data inside the infrastructure. Inspector's scope is narrower than people think. On the left, what it scans: EC2 instances, ECR container images, Lambda functions, software CVS, and network reachability. On the right, what it does not touch: S3 buckets, RDS databases, DynamoDB tables, your application's logic bugs, and IAM misconfigurations. The decision rule follows directly from that scope. If the requirement is scanning S3 for sensitive data, Inspector is the wrong tool. That job belongs to Macie, which we'll get to in a moment. Macie is the sensitive data finder. It discovers and classifies sensitive data inside Amazon S3 buckets. The how is worth knowing. It uses machine learning combined with pattern matching through something Amazon Web Services calls Managed Data Identifiers. Those are curated detectors for well-known sensitive types: social security numbers, credit card numbers, Amazon Web Services access keys, and protected health information. Macie produces a sensitivity score for each bucket, which is exactly what compliance and audit teams need when they have to answer questions about General Data Protection Regulation, or GDPR, and Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act, or HIPAA, exposure. Straight from the Amazon Web Services Macie documentation, Macie uses machine learning and pattern matching to discover sensitive data, provide visibility into data security risks, and enable automated protection. Now, that phrase automated protection is worth pausing on. Macie itself does not block access or remove sensitive data. What it does is emit findings to Event Bridge, which can then trigger downstream actions like a Lambda function that quarantines an object or revokes a policy. The protection is automated through other services, not by Macie directly. The verbs to remember are discover and provide visibility. Macie is about knowing what data you have and whether it's sensitive, not about who's touching it, and not about whether the storage is vulnerable. And this scope boundary is the most common Macie misconception. Macie is S3 only. It does not classify data in RDS. It does not classify data in DynamoDB. It does not classify data on EBS volumes, and it does not classify data in EFS. If a scenario asks for PII discovery in any non-S3 storage, Macie is the wrong answer, even when it's the only data service in the option list. Here's the cleanest way to keep Macie and Inspector straight. Macie reads the documents in the filing cabinet to see if they contain secrets. Inspector checks the lock on the cabinet to see if it can be picked. Macie looks inside S3 objects, finds PII, and answers the question, what data do we have? Inspector looks at compute, EC2, ECR, Lambda, finds CVS and exposed ports, and answers the question, what can be broken into? Data versus infrastructure. That split is the tiebreaker on almost every Macie versus Inspector question. Quick test before we move on. Someone walks up to your desk and says, our S3 bucket may have social security numbers in it. Which service do you reach for? Macie. Our EC2 instance may have an unpatched CVE. Which service? Inspector. CloudTrail shows an unusual API call from a region we don't use. Which service? GuardDuty. If those three landed, you've got the sensor layer. Now for the two services left, which don't sense anything themselves, they work with what the sensors already found. Detective is the investigator, and the key word in that sentence is investigator. Detective does not detect anything itself. It starts after a finding already exists. Its core data sources, ingested by default, are CloudTrail, VPC Flow Logs, and GuardDuty findings. There are two more sources worth knowing about: EKS audit logs and Security Hub findings. Amazon Web Services labels these as optional source packages, but in practice they're enabled by default for any behavior graph created in the last couple of years, so most current users already have them flowing in. Detective weaves all of this into something called a behavior graph, linking principles, resources, IPs, and time-based events so you can pivot from one finding to the full story of an incident. And it retains up to a year of that aggregated history, which means an analyst can pivot back to events from months ago without searching raw logs. Here's the boundary that makes Detective click. Detective pulls time-based events from CloudTrail, VPC Flow Logs, GuardDuty findings, Security Hub findings, and EKS audit logs. Notice GuardDuty findings show up as an input. Detective sits downstream of GuardDuty, not parallel to it. GuardDuty raises the alarm, and Detective gives you the time-ordered story of what led up to it and what happened next. If the requirement is to investigate or analyze an existing finding, that's Detective. If the requirement is to generate the finding in the first place, that's GuardDuty. Here's the cleanest way to separate GuardDuty from Detective. GuardDuty is the 911 dispatcher. There's a report of a break-in at this address. Get someone over there now. Detective is the homicide detective who shows up an hour later, pulls the security camera footage, talks to the neighbors, and maps the suspect's path through the house. GuardDuty answers what happened. Detective answers why and how. If the work in the question stem happens after an alarm has fired, the answer is Detective, never GuardDuty. Security Hub is the aggregator, and as of the December 2025 general availability release, also a correlator. Here's the nuance worth understanding. The original Security Hub, now called Security Hub CSPM, was a cloud security posture management service, the single pane of glass that pulled findings from GuardDuty, Inspector, Macie, partner tools, and its own posture checks. The newer unified Amazon Web Services Security Hub adds an active analytics layer on top of that, automatically correlating and enriching signals across GuardDuty, Inspector, and Macie to surface the issues that actually matter. Both versions rely on the Amazon Web Services security finding format, so every source speaks the same dialect, and both aggregate across accounts and regions, exactly the view code Gorilla's needs across its 40 client accounts. One practical note: certification exam questions may still reference the legacy aggregator framing, so read the scenario carefully and match the version the question describes. Picture an analyst on Monday morning without Security Hub. They open the GuardDuty console, read the threat findings. They open Inspector, read the vulnerability findings. They open Macie, read the sensitive data findings. Then they try to mentally merge three lists into one priority queue. With Security Hub, that's one dashboard, deduplicated, scored by severity, and organized by threats, exposures, resources, and coverage. Security Hub also runs its own posture checks against frameworks like CIS and Amazon Web Services foundational best practices, and that part is real detection work. But the threats, the vulnerabilities, and the sensitive data findings all came from upstream. Security Hub is the layer that puts the picture together. And this is the boundary worth burning in. Security Hub is not a sensor in the way GuardDuty, Inspector, and Macie are. It does not scan EC2 instances for vulnerabilities, it does not classify data in S3, and it does not analyze VPC Flow Logs for threats. That said, the line is softer than it used to be. The legacy Security Hub CSPM was purely an aggregator with its own posture controls. Disable the upstream sensors and it went mostly empty. The unified 2025 Security Hub adds a correlation and enrichment layer that performs its own analytics on the incoming findings, so it does generate insights the upstream services don't. For exam scenarios, the safe rule still holds. If a question asks which service finds, detects, or identifies a threat on a workload or in data, the answer is the upstream sensor, not Security Hub. Here's how the 5 services fit together in one picture. At the top, the 3 sensors: GuardDuty for threats, Inspector for vulnerabilities, Macie for sensitive data. They all emit findings, and every finding is wrapped in the same Amazon Web Services security finding format. From there, 2 things happen in parallel. Detective takes a single finding and builds a behavior graph so an analyst can investigate the story behind it. And Security Hub takes every finding from every account and region and surfaces them in one dashboard. Sense, investigate, aggregate. That's the whole architecture. Here's the keyword to service cheat sheet. If the stem says threat, unusual API, compromised credentials, or cryptomining, the answer is GuardDuty. If it says vulnerability, CVE, patch, or names EC2, ECR, or Lambda, the answer is Inspector. If it says PII, SSN, credit card, classify, or S3 contents, the answer is Macie. If it says investigate, root cause, visualize, or graph, the answer is Detective. If it says aggregate, central dashboard, multi-account, or posture, the answer is Security Hub. And if it says block, prevent, or stop the attack, none of these 5 are right. That's WAF, shield, security groups, or network firewall. If the keyword in the stem is ambiguous, the data source it names is your second best clue, and honestly, it's the single highest payoff heuristic for this whole topic. CloudTrail, VPC Flow Logs, or DNS queries point to GuardDuty, EC2, ECR, or Lambda point to Inspector. S3 objects point to Macie. Memorize the data source per service and most questions answer themselves. Seeing S3 in a scenario does not automatically mean Macie. Read the verb carefully. If the issue is unusual, API access to an S3 bucket from a malicious IP, the correct answer is GuardDuty with S3 protection, not Macie. The split is clean once you see it. Macie answers what is inside the objects. GuardDuty answers who is touching the bucket. So when the bucket name shows up, anchor on the verb, discover sensitive data points to Macie, suspicious access points to GuardDuty. When you need to pick 2 services from this group, there's a reliable pattern. The winning pair is usually a sensor plus security hub. If the requirement is to detect threats and centralize findings across accounts, the answer is GuardDuty paired with Security Hub. If the requirement is to scan workloads and report at the organization level, the answer is Inspector paired with Security Hub. Security Hub is rarely wrong as a second choice whenever centralizing findings is part of the requirement. 4 mistakes to keep in mind. Block the attack. None of these 5 do that. That's WAF, shield, security groups, or network firewall. Detect threats. Never Security Hub, because the aggregator is not a sensor. Investigate. Never GuardDuty, because detective is the service that starts after the alarm. And PII in RDS, not Macie, because Macie's scope is S3 only. Each of these mistakes comes from blurring the verb that owns the service. Back to our engineer at 3 in the morning. The GPU instances, the unfamiliar region, the mining pool DNS query. Now they know, that's a GuardDuty finding, sourced from CloudTrail and DNS logs. They opened Security Hub to see if the same compromised credential touched any other accounts. Then they pivot to Detective to trace how the credential leaked in the first place. Detect, aggregate, investigate. 3 services, 1 incident, 1 clear path through. The map works. And that's the whole point of learning the 5 verbs. All right, time to put your knowledge to the test. Question 1. A security engineer notices an EC2 instance is making unusual outbound DNS queries to a known cryptocurrency mining pool. Which Amazon Web Services service is designed to detect this kind of activity? Is it A, Amazon Inspector, B, Amazon Macie, C, Amazon GuardDuty, or D, Amazon Web Services Security Hub? Pause here if you want more time. This one is C, Amazon GuardDuty. The 2 giveaways are DNS queries and cryptomining. Both are core GuardDuty findings sourced from Route 53 DNS logs. Inspector scans for software vulnerabilities. Macie only looks inside S3 objects, and Security Hub aggregates findings but never detects them. Question 2. A healthcare company stores patient intake PDFs in Amazon S3 and must produce a report identifying which buckets contain social security numbers and protected health information for a HIPAA audit. Which service should they use? A, Amazon Macie, B, Amazon Inspector, C, Amazon Detective, D, Amazon Web Services Security Hub. Lock in your answer before I give it away. The right call here is A, Amazon Macie. The keywords are SSNs, Protected Health Information, S3, and Classify. That's Macie's exact job through its Managed Data Identifiers. Inspector does not touch S3, Detective investigates findings rather than discovering data, and Security Hub aggregates findings from other services. Question 3. A development team needs continuous automated scanning of container images in Amazon ECR and EC2 instances for known software vulnerabilities, the CVS. Which Amazon Web Services service meets this requirement? A. Amazon GuardDuty. B. Amazon Inspector. C. Amazon Macie. D. Amazon Detector. Think about which constraint matters most here. It has to be B. Amazon Inspector, and here's why. The keywords are ECR, EC2, and CVS. All three sit squarely inside Inspector's scope. GuardDuty reads log streams for threats, Macie only classifies S3 data, and Detector starts investigating only after a finding already exists. Question 4. After GuardDuty raises a high-severity finding on a compromised EC2 instance, a security analyst needs to quickly visualize every IAM principal, IP address, and API call associated with that instance over the past month. Which service is best suited for this investigation? A. Amazon GuardDuty. B. Amazon Web Services Security Hub. C. Amazon Inspector. D. Amazon Detector. Got your pick? Let's see. If you said D, well done. Amazon Detector is the answer. The verbs investigate and visualize, combined with reconstructing a month of activity, point directly at Detective's behavior graph. GuardDuty raised the alarm but does not investigate. Security Hub aggregates findings but does not draw the graph, and Inspector scans for vulnerabilities, which is a different problem entirely. Question 5. A company wants to centralize findings from GuardDuty, Inspector, and Macie across 30 Amazon Web Services accounts into a single dashboard, and also check configurations against security best practices. Which service should they use? A. Amazon Detector. B. Amazon Web Services Security Hub. C. Amazon GuardDuty. D. Amazon Inspector. Got your pick? Let's see. It has to be B. Amazon Web Services Security Hub, and here's why. Security Hub is the aggregator. It pulls findings from GuardDuty, Inspector, and Macie across all your accounts and regions into one normalized dashboard, and it also runs posture controls that check your configuration against best practices. Detective investigates individual findings after the fact. GuardDuty detects threats, and Inspector scans workloads, but neither of those centralizes the other services' findings. That's a full picture of Security Services Matrix: GuardDuty, Inspector, Macie, Detector, Security Hub. Re-watch the decision rules section before your exam. It's the part that pays off. Until next time.